Hello, welcome to Beyond the Fantasy, Costumes and Courage, Part 3 and hopefully the final episode of our Menhirs Fate E1 recap. Because we can ramble, and we apologize.
I don't apologize, I love rambling.
I'm Stephanie.
I'm Rowan.
And down on the floor like last time is our dog. Sorry if she makes a lot of noise. She is much quieter this time. I'm a bit tired. It's a bit later than we recorded the previous episode. So hopefully she's more chill.
Yeah. So last time we finished on just finishing monstering, which was about 8 o'clock on Saturday night.
Yeah.
So what do we do next? We headed back to the camp?
Yeah, I think we made a bit of a loop to bathrooms and stuff, but basically after monstering, I needed to take that chainmail off that I had broke.
Yes.
And I said, I'm no longer going full heavy armor because I can't. It's broken.
Yeah.
And we kind of agreed at that point that we were done fighting. The monstering really took it out of us. I had 2 bruised knees. Earlier in the day during the UGG mission, I had been whacked really hard by someone on the skirmish team. So I was getting my fair share of bruises from the fights, and I was like, I think I'm done.
Yeah.
I've had fun. I think I'm done.
Yeah, I was kind of tired of wearing my gorget and shoulder armor and everything, so I was like, I'm just gonna wear the gambeson.
Yeah.
Mainly because it's warm.
Yeah. Because it's 8 p.m. At the beginning of April, it was getting cold when the sun set.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise. So yeah, I think we took off heavy kit, put on warmer layers, and then
someone was walking through the camp
and said, there's going to be a fight. The 4 Knights of the Fallen.
4 captains of the
That
Fallen
one.
are going to attack the Haven.
Are going to attack it, which we had heard about briefly, but we also knew about it from reading the wiki, but I didn't remember everything. Yeah, they were on the wiki.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. He didn't even read the wiki, apparently. I did. I think it was released one of the leading up days. So it might have been something I read out to you, which maybe is why I remember it more.
Yeah.
Because I read him newly released stuff on the drive there on Thursday.
Yeah. And it was Valdraith's monster slot, who were, I think they were the biggest nation.
Yeah.
I think they were slightly bigger than Cyrodinia.
Yeah. It was close, though.
So there was pretty much all of Valdraith and
all of the
skirmish crew. And we were just
against the rest of Haven.
Yeah. And we were just looking for a quiet one. And then we hear about these big fights that are going to be happening. And you said...
Well, so also it kind of felt like... I don't know if we knew at the time, but it felt... I said in our previous episode towards the end, the big fight of the weekend. It isn't Empire, it's not other ones, there isn't big battles. There's just bigger fights at Menhirs Fate. And this felt like it was going to be one of those big fights. Of course, it wasn't the end-all be-all fight, as we'll go over later. But we kind of stood there, we had our swords on, and I just kind of looked at him and I was like, you know what, let's just go. Yes, we're on reduced hits. You had a couple more than me because of your gambeson gave you light armor coverage. Yeah. I think I was going in with 3 hits. Yeah. Because I can't remember if I put any of the... I had my scale mail and my helmet, I think. And I can't remember if I put any of your arm or legs on. I don't think I did. I think I just went in basically unarmored. And I said to you, we don't want to be...
No, you went with partial metal, partial heavy, because you had your... Did you still have your pauldrons on?
Yeah.
And then when you had your legs, which was 4.
If I put them back on, yeah. And 5 helmet, so...
Yeah.
But, yeah, I kind of turned to you and I said, we don't want to be, after this event, when everyone's talking about it, thinking that this is potentially the big fight, right? We don't want to be the only people to not go.
Yeah.
We want to be able to say that we did go because it's part of our mission for our characters. So even though we were exhausted and it was dark, and I don't like fighting in the dark after being on a very scary skirmish at Empire, I really don't like it that much anymore. It's cool, but it is scary.
Yeah, I think they did a pretty good job though, because with like the lights that run through the camp to the center, like they kind of did it under those,
a string of lights.
Although I think I found out, like as we got there was like a freeze and we didn't really know why, but I found out later it's because like it was really cool to watch, but like all of the Valdraith and the skirmish crew like ran like into the Morvalis camp.
Well, it was like between Morvalis and Ceradonia.
Yeah, but they like full on ran. It was like really cool, and then we were like, okay, well we gotta go.
Yeah.
So we went over, but as we got there, like the front bit, the front bit was like frozen, and I was like not sure why, because usually that's when like someone goes down or something. But I found out later from speaking to one of the refs outside of the toilets. They said it's because they got into the accessibility zone, which
so with the camping, which I think we probably went over on our very first Menhirs Fate episode, there was incursion zone, neutral, and then no bad incursion zone. And basically the enemy at this point had pushed all the way up, and you were saying that with that talk with the ref, that basically it seemed like us as the player characters didn't want to leave the tents. We wanted that like safety guard of like, well, someone can't come from my side because there's a tent there. However, it was becoming like too much of a like dangerous situation with that many people walking, also kind of with all the guidelines. Tents.
And we were like, I think some of the Fallen fell back a bit, and then the fight carried on, but we kind of just walked up and like followed, really. Like,
we were
it seemed like they were just killing it, like at the heroes or the adventurers, whatever you want to call them, were kind of winning.
I think we got a couple hits in. At least I did. I had one of my swords. I think I got a couple hits on a couple that broke through. And I did do like some protecting for some healers, I think, at one point. But you kind of went off from me in that fight because I said I'm gonna stay underneath the string lights. So I was like, when it's all done, like look for me under the lights. I'll be directly under the lights is basically where I stayed the entire fight. I was like, I'm not coming out. I was like, I don't have my like health stats that I want to have. I'm really tired and injured. I was like, I'm just here to like
here for vibes.
I'm here to vibes. I'm here to help where I can. Which is like kind of what I did. Well, also try not to be too exhausted. But basically we won and we cheered and kind of thought that was it. We were like, we killed the 4 captains, go us.
I don't think there was another wave there.
No.
So we went back to camp, and then
we were just chilling in camp, and
then we heard like on the other side that they'd attacked again,
and we
were just like,
nope, can't be bothered.
We fought one of the captains. That's good enough, right?
We were like, surely Portavos has this one. Like we thought it was like probably around Portavos area, so like surely they got it. And so we were getting something to drink at camp.
And getting a little bit warmer.
And then I heard from over my shoulder someone else call to another person in camp saying, hey, I think I see dinosaurs over there.
And like I don't think I heard that, but I remember just like seeing it be like, hey, Stephanie.
No, I turned around and
Joyous.
I said there's dinosaurs there. I told you.
No, I told you.
No, I told you.
I told you. You were at like the entrance of the tent, and then I was like to the side, and I could see them walking.
I was at the table, and I said, hey, there's dinosaurs. Do you want to go see what it's about? Because I heard the guys talk about it, and I go, dinosaurs? Dinosaurs? Where?
Was I the guy saying about dinosaurs? Because I'm 100% sure I saw them.
I know you saw them because we walked with them.
Yeah, but I saw them like walking because they were like on the other side of the tents from us.
It's okay. You have a really bad memory though.
Wow. Anyway, we saw these dinosaurs walking in, and so we decided to go see what it was about.
Yeah.
We like crossed over into the other road.
Yeah, because they came up the main road, which is like, or there was like a string lights, and it was kind of like the road bit
down from
the monster tent.
Yeah.
Which is where like a lot of incursion type things came through. Like earlier in that day, there was like a duck and a goose that came through there. We missed that.
Yeah.
But we got to see kind of all these like weird things come into camp whenever we were in camp.
Yeah. Like that's how we saw Ugg in the first place.
Yeah. Although he walked through our nation rather than between the nations, like the dinosaurs. So we went over and started talking, and they were crew, obviously. They weren't like real players.
No.
But they were in character saying that they had been attacked on their way, and they really needed to get to some Beastmasters because they weren't Beastmasters to heal the dinosaurs because they were really badly injured. These dinosaur outfits, I wish I had a photo of.
Yeah, they
were so cool.
I don't think I would have. Like, it was hard to foresee how a person could fit in it, kind of thing. But like they had like their legs like walking along, and
like proper like that kind of like dinosaur bent or like fawn like where it like the leg goes a different direction than human legs, right? Where it's like basically a cat with like a long foot, and so then it looks like the leg's backwards, but it's not. Yeah, they were so cool.
That the like person who walked them in as well, they were like such a good actor. They genuinely seemed like distraught and like, I just need to get them to
Erdravin. You know, there were more of us. We lost someone on the way, and the way they were just doing it, it was just like it will lead you to Erdravin.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna help you get there. So we started learning about the dinosaurs during the walk. Do you remember their names?
I do.
Yeah.
Snuggles.
And Violence.
Yep.
And we kind of paused outside of the treasure hunter guild tent.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I got to scratch Violence on the head.
Yeah, because we were asking like, oh, like what do they like, and then I think they said they like shiny things.
Yeah, so I brought my light out, my crystal pink light that we talked about, that Ugg blessed multiple times. That rock has been blessed by Ugg, but also Violence loved my shiny rock as well because it was dark, it was nighttime, and this little like raptor head came down and was like, oh, the people inside of those dinosaur outfits also so good at acting. They were sitting there doing like clicking noises.
Yeah.
Like how you would think of Jurassic World raptors, like kind of like noises. They were doing that inside, and my mind was being blown. I was like, this is the coolest bit of like incursion that I've ever had at LARP. I mean, Ugg was really cool, and I really, really loved Ugg, but just the amount of like acting and like staying in character that was happening, and like just like how cool the costumes were, and like it was so good.
Yeah, it was really good.
It was so good.
I don't think it's my personal favorite, but that's.
Oh, I didn't say it was my favorite. I just said it was like the best bit of like incursion I've ever had, for those reasons. But we took them to Erdravin. They were raptors. They were looking specifically for characters that had the Beastmaster like archetype from Erdravin because they could heal them. However, when we got there.
At this point, like, as we said, there was 4 captains attacking.
We thought we dealt with it.
there was like, I think there was like 2 fights going on. There was like one in like Portafas and then one in the one next over from Erdreven.
What was like, I think it was one of the like in between. So it was like in between Erdreven and probably the Wonder.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
And like we're just like walking these dinosaurs through. You just hear like shouts from the fights going on.
We could like see the fight. So I'm like sitting there scratching like the chin of like a raptor dinosaur, watching like this big battle under the string lights happen and like on the other side of tents. And I was like, the person was like, oh, there's a lot of fighting, like, and I was like, we'll be okay here. They got it. Don't worry about it. We're here. And we saw our favorite Erdreven threat again.
Yep.
Which we talked about on our first Menhirs Fate episode.
I believe so.
Yeah. Would have brought it up last time if we hadn't rambled so much. We would have talked about it now.
Us ramble? Nah.
Yeah, so they went off to go find Beastmasters who were in the middle of that fight against the fallen captain.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So then we see like these, like a couple of Erdreven-y like people wander over from the fight. Like the fight's still going on, they've just walked away from it. And then they see the dinosaurs and they start like curing them.
Yeah, they started doing like ritually kind of, I don't know, stuff. We kind of stayed back because we were just like, well, we don't want to like. It was one of those things where it was clearly for Erdreven.
Yeah.
Like it was clearly like this is their shit, you know.
Yeah, and it was like so nice to be a part of it just a little bit, to like walk with them and like learn a bit more about the raptors and things, because obviously our characters have never seen them before.
Seen a dinosaur before.
Been really curious about them, just seeing them, so
yeah.
Yeah, but we wanted them to have their moment, essentially.
Yeah, so we kind of, like, once they started getting... Oh, it was so cute, because when we were, like, petting them, the raptors would, like, wag their tails like a happy dog.
Yeah.
Like, and make their little clicky noises, and it was so... Like, I think that's why it just made it so nice. Like, like such a nice incursion to, like, have, especially after being brutally killed by Erdreven as a fallen earlier in the day.
True.
When I did it to myself. I did it. They didn't knock me down. I did that to myself.
Yeah. Did it for the love of the game.
Yeah. I did it to make their game better, which worked because that one guy did say I was his favorite fallen.
Yeah.
But yeah, so once we kind of like we chilled out and
we were like, oh, okay, we'll go back to camp now, but then we were like, oh, we'll go to the Adventurers Guild because after the UG skirmish...
we were supposed to go to the Adventurers Guild.
Yeah, we were supposed to go back and get our... I don't know if they said reward or...
No,
I think they just said come and let them know. Yeah,
because they didn't have a stamp. They just... I thought because the little squares, like, in our passport, there's 9 squares, so... It's a way to make it so in the future, as more people start to sign up on these missions, there'll be low-level missions where if you have only like 1 mission under your belt, no missions under your belt, you're gonna get on, versus if someone comes up and they have 6 X's already, or like, 6 stamps in their passport, they're not, like, you'll be let on those missions first. And then potentially, depending on how they work it, there might be higher level missions where you have to have more adventure, like, experience, more. Same with the Treasure Hunter and the Court of Daggers works the same, where they have, like, this kind of stamp thing. So basically we had to go back to the Adventurers Guild
it's like
to say we were there, so that they could mark it down in their book. He put a little X on my passport. You didn't have your passport.
No.
But he marked it in his records, which I think will get updated potentially for, like, maybe the next time you print your passport, something.
Yeah, I think so. It's kind of like guild experience points is how I'd probably describe it.
Yeah.
And then the person that was like doing the marking and everything at that point was the Fable Weaver Guildmaster.
Yeah, and he was like, anything else I can help you with?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, what do we do with this token we got earlier?
Yeah. Because at that point we didn't know it was a favour token. I think we called it a favour token last episode.
Yeah.
Just to call it that when we got it. But we were like, we don't know what to do with it.
So then, because he said he was a fable weaver, we brought up the idea that someone else had kind of like said to us about getting my sword fable weaved to be permanent, depending on what the Menhir decides to do. That may or may not be the case in the future.
Yeah.
With its enchantment. And so we talked to him about it. You need 10 levels of whatever weaving you're doing. So in this case it would be fable and a water essence. And you bring that to the Menhir. They do an augury to ask the Menhir, this is what we would like. What do you want us to give you for you to do this?
Yeah.
And the Menhir comes back, with like, oh, I need 50 myth, or I need all of this flicker and this essence, or I need 100 fable weaver power, whatever it can, like whatever game people decide to tell it to do. It
states the price, but if you like play on the fact that it is the first enchantment, then like you might get it a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
However, it would still be a lot of essence, I think.
Yeah, but it also depends kind of like what the Menhir, because the Menhir might not want essence, it might want equivalent in flicker. It could ask for anything.
Yeah.
But it also, the cool thing that, because he knows a lot about the weaving game, even though he's not part of the weavers in the Menhir like tent. He was like, I know quite a bit, but I don't know everything. But he was basically saying how the Menhir will take the price when you give it to it for that final weaving, and it will take your item, but you might not get what you're asking for. Even when you bring what it asked for, you might not get what you're asking for, but it will change your item, good or bad, basically. And he was like, but honestly, like, this sounds really epic and you really should do it.
Yeah.
And if you need help, let me know.
Yeah, which is really nice.
Yeah, because he said it like under his breath, kind of in that like, this sounds so cool, please do it.
Yeah, it was we're
gonna try.
It was like the approval we needed in a way.
Yeah.
Because like if he'd have said like, oh, it's a lot of essence, I don't know if it's the best idea, then we'd have been probably a bit like, yeah, you're like,
right.
You know more, and if it's going to cost us hundreds of essence, then like, what is the point?
Yeah, what's the point of trying? But yeah, so then after that we were cold. Oh, well, no. We thought about leaving when he finished. However, a person, not a person, walked into the tent while we were trying to have this discussion about weaving. Yeah,
and it was the name of which my my current, or at that point in time, my current district leader, not leader, a god walked in. Yeah, I was trying to.
I like how we're beating around the bush with like saying it's a god. It was a god.
I was trying to not give
Scholar
away
under
that it
the
was
mountain.
Yeah, the scholar under the mountain, and then an aspect of the scholar walks in. I believe it was the student.
I don't know.
We'll just say the scholar.
Yeah, the scholar.
The scholar walked in and then started saying, "Oh, I need the Adventurers Guild help."
Yeah.
The guild masters were like, "What?"
He's like, "I got this book, guys, and the Fallen are after it. They're after it, and if they get it, I will be erased."
Him and all of the gods will be erased. The connection between the people of the world of Alandra, which is the name of the, I believe that's the name, Alandra.
Of the entire like land.
Yeah, the connection between the people of Alandra and the gods will be severed, and essentially, the gods will be part of the fading. The people of Elandra won't remember that there are gods. And because we won't remember, then the gods won't exist, essentially.
Yeah.
Because the people and the gods are linked together. The gods created the people, but the people believe in the gods. So it's like the
symbiosis.
Yeah, symbiosis. That's a perfect word.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got a big word. Yeah, so it was fragments of his book, which is called The Tome of Origins.
Yeah.
That were like kind of scattered, and he wanted us to collect, and he kept saying, he said multiple times in this chat, because we were sat kind of at the table with the guild master, and there was a couple other people on the other side of the tent closer to the scholar, so they kept asking questions. But he kept just saying, this is the fight for everything, and I need you to be prepared. And they're like, okay, but like, when is it gonna happen? And he goes, I'm a god, I have no sense of time, but I would assume the sun will rise before it happens. And so you were getting the like, oh, it's tomorrow. And I was like, I don't know. If it's the fight for everything, it could be like 5 years from now. He has no sense of time. You know, I was like, maybe that'll be an E4 thing. Maybe we're discovering, I was like, in my head, I was like, we're hearing stuff that's gonna get concluded like in 6 months from now. Like, that's so cool. Like, that was my head. It was Sunday though. The fight was Sunday.
I was reading between the lines when he said the sun will rise. I was like, well, there's nothing planned for tomorrow at the moment, and
yeah,
it feels like a Sunday kind of thing, like a nice note to end on. Probably tomorrow.
Yeah.
And my hunch was correct.
I was tired.
Yeah. And then after that,
we got dinner.
Yeah, we did. We went to the out of character, in character trading area. Yeah, the trader.
Traders were all in character, kind of, in a way.
Yeah.
But there was,
apart from the food vans.
apart from the food vans, don't blame them.
No.
Yes, we went and got chicken burgers and French fries.
They were really nice.
Expensive, but really nice because we were really cold.
About what I'd normally expect to pay for a burger. Like,
yeah, fresh burger like that.
If you go to like a restaurant, that's probably what I'd expect to pay.
But yeah, we got our food, we sat down, there were a couple other people eating.
Yeah.
At that point, it was probably like 10 p.m. though when we were having dinner.
Yeah.
Which is why we've said in previous episodes for kind of like for new people to be mindful of, make sure you're eating and drinking, because once you're in character, it can be so easy to forget about those things.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't eat until 10 because running around, you don't feel hungry as often as you think you would.
Yeah, I think it's a lot worse in Menhirs Fate because
there's always something happening.
Yeah, which is like it's the reason why I love it. But at the same time, it's like, it's hard to pull yourself away from that because you get like fear of missing out.
Yeah, which is what you've said before as well.
Yeah.
In, like the first episode, I think.
I think so, yeah. But yeah, eat guys, drink water.
Drink water, not just cider. Although I find it really funny. We brought plenty of cider with us to have. And I had some on the Thursday. You didn't have any, I don't think.
No, I didn't.
And then I think the rest of the weekend I only had maybe one more can of cider.
I think we had the one to celebrate getting the first enchantment, and that was literally it.
Yeah, which was like Friday. And then we just completely forgot about it, just the same as forgetting about water. Although we were quite a bit better with water.
Yeah.
But that's just running around, you get thirsty.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the battle for everything was going to be happening.
Yeah.
Once the sun rises, which kind of leads us into Sunday, because Saturday night we had dinner, we went back to camp. I think we did another walk around.
I don't think we did. I think we just went to get hot water from
I think
from the trader place, and then they kind of ran out of hot water, or like
Didn't have a lot.
they didn't have a lot, and they said that they were using it as well. So we were like, okay, don't worry.
And then you got a juice because you felt bad
Yeah.
for getting free hot water.
Yeah.
And then
then we went to the tea place.
Yeah, we went to the Saradonia Tea House, Reaver's Rest, and because they had said that they had hot water, and so we went over, and they were kind of packing in a bit for the night as well, I think, at that point. And I was like, you guys don't have, by any chance, have like hot water for my hot water bottles, do you? And they're like, yeah, there was another guy who asked, but I don't know where he's gone, but like, we'll heat it up for you. And their teapot, campfire teapot, chimney. It was a chimney, basically. It was so cool. It was a giant cylinder with like an open center that they plopped like kindling down in to get flames and like hot air in there to help more surface area of like for the water to like boil. So it boiled so fast.
It took them like 10 minutes, whereas it would have taken us like 2 hours.
With our little tiny teapot, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so disappointing. It took us so long on Friday when we could have just gone to them.
Yeah, I think it makes me want to get one of those chimneys, to be honest, just because it was so good.
Yeah, I kind of want to. We'll have to look how expensive it is.
Yeah, true.
We spent a lot on LARP already this year.
Yeah, too much.
But yeah, so.
Then we went to bed.
We went to bed, had the best night because we were there Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. So. Well, I had the best night. I don't know. I don't want to speak for you. But those hot water bottles were hot, for one. So nice and toasty. I also wore my full purple dress that I've sometimes worn for Empire player events as my character Enora. Even though our house colors at Empire are orange and blue. Yeah. I got this at a reduced price, this like medieval style purple dress. And I was like, you know what, purple is one of my character's colors, it's warm, and it means you get to have the coat that you want to have if I wear the purple dress. So Saturday, at some point, I had put it on.
I don't think I put the coat on there.
No, I don't think you put the coat on. I think you just had the gambeson, but I decided to wear that dress to bed.
Yeah.
So I got into my sleeping bag with it. You stuffed me in. Yeah. Stuffed water bottles in there.
Yeah.
I don't know how I fit because it's not the biggest sleeping bag.
It didn't zip up all the way.
No.
We can we got it to like your chest, and then like the hot water bottle and the dress
and my arms just all kind of in there. But I was so cozy. I was so like even in the morning when I woke up, I was just like nice and warm. Yeah. Also, one of my biggest tips for camping, especially when you're sleeping in canvas tents, because they are a light colored tent most of the time. I know there are a couple companies out there that sell like brown and dark green tents that are made out of canvas. However, mainly everyone has just the plain white cream kind of canvas. When the sun starts coming up, that white color, the light color of them reflect light, and it will be so bright in your tent. So what I do when it's cold, I wear a beanie over my head and tuck it when I fall, like before I fall asleep, I bring it down over my eyes because I don't really like stuff on my like nose and mouth.
No, neither.
But it covers my eyes because I'll have my glasses off, and it basically, because you're cocooned into your sleeping bag, you don't end up moving that much, so it stays pretty much in the same spot. Yeah. And like when I wake up in the morning, sometimes like you kind of like see light through your eyelids, and I go, it's actually not that bright out. It must be so early in the morning. I should go back to sleep. And then your alarm goes off, and you're like, wait a second, that alarm's for 8 o'clock. And then I always like open it up, and I'm like, oh god, it's so bright. Yeah. It's like a shock to the system, but keeps me asleep longer. But yeah, we got up.
Yeah. Another tip for camping as well, I don't know if we've mentioned it before, put your hot water bottles in your sleeping bag before you get in, so it's a little bit warmer. Someone said about that on Discord.
Yeah. Pre-warm up your sleeping bag.
Yeah.
We got ready.
Yeah, we got ready, woke up, got ready, and then...
I had to get my second wig out because the wind absolutely destroyed one of my wigs.
Yeah.
But I had a second wig for the character that is the same because it was like 20 pounds for the wig in the first place. But also, in case it rained or whatever, you don't want to be walking around wearing a wet wig.
No.
But it was so windy, it got so natted, I was like, it's not worth it, I'm just gonna wear the other wig. So my hair was looking fresh on Sunday.
Yeah.
Just in time to go try to find some fable weavers.
Yes. Obviously, we just said that we wanted to do the permanent enchantment, and to do that we needed 10 levels of fable weavers.
Yeah.
So we went to...
Started asking around?
Yeah, we started asking around. I think we started off by asking the people that we met in the bank before who said they were fable weavers.
Or like, if you go find these people, we got this power between us and we'll do it. And then the fight for everything.
Yeah. That was the
interrupted everything.
Yeah, the scholar started to walk through the
camps. Call for help.
At which point, we have to answer the call if it's a fight for everything.
Oh, I did. You were still getting ready at that point when I first started going out looking for fable weavers to go talk to the new LARPers, and ask them about how their secret mission had gone the previous night.
Yeah.
And so they told us their story about what they did, what they found, and one of the things they found, or said they found, was water essence. And I was like, I could use that. If I could trade, that would be great. I have not much to offer but flicker.
Yeah.
And they were gonna trade me one essence for one flicker, and I was like, no, mate, that is a terrible deal. I'm gonna give you more flicker than that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna rip off a new LARP. But they ended up not having water, so I took earth, and then another person walked up and was just like, oh, I need spirit. And then I go, okay, quick, actually you have a spirit, never mind, let me give you my earth, let me give you the earth back, I'll trade you the spirit, trade you spirit for your water essence. So it kind of benefited the two of not part of that group.
Yeah.
Which was nice, because he got what he needed, we got what we needed for the augury, which hopefully we'll do at...
Yeah, and the new player, I think they need a flicker, so they got flicker.
Yeah. So it kind of all, worked out.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is part of, the whole community aspect of Ceradonia, which is, you do help each other, how, I kind of used it in the, oh, you do have something I need, and I'm not gonna offer you basically nothing for it. I'm gonna up what you're... I was like, let me give you even more, because that's not a good deal. Yeah, and then you caught up. And
I think we said we were going to meet up at the Adventurers Guild because we knew from checking the day before that there were a couple of missions on the Sunday morning.
And we wanted to see if we could go on any.
Yeah, so we got there, and one of the missions was, it was a supply run mission where we were going to protect or retrieve boxes from a supply run that had been attacked or something like that.
Yeah.
But by the time we got there, one of the Ceridonians that we met on Thursday that came to our camp and we were chatting with a lot, they said, sorry, it's full. At which point we were just like, okay.
What do we do?
What do we do? Yeah.
And that's when we had a bit of out of character discussion on our way back to camp of being a bit annoyed, I don't know if that's the perfect word, about how the guilds were being run, because it felt like the Adventurers Guild really should have been having more adventures.
Yeah, I think from our expectations, and then hearing from the new player group that they got to go off and do this like really cool thing,
Really
which
cool
was
thing with the Treasure Hunter Guild.
yeah.
It felt like that is something that should have been part of. Well,
Like they went and found treasure, which is like obviously treasure hunters, but I feel like in a way it's also like an adventure to go to a new place
and do
cool stuff. Yeah.
But most of the Adventure Guild stuff, especially for anyone who wants to go in the future, it's much more not D&D party, because that's kind of how it was originally sold, was that it was like you get your D&D party, like, you know, you might have a hewer from Saradonia, a beastmaster from Erdreven, and you guys are all grouped up together and you're gonna go off on this adventure. That is Treasure Hunter Guild.
Well, it seemed like it. Obviously, like, we don't know exactly how it went, but there's like...
Well, you get your parties. You sign up as a party for
Yeah.
Treasure Hunter versus Adventure Guild. You're signed up as a lone adventurer
Yeah.
to join adventures.
Yeah, whereas it would have been cool if we got to go on a small mission. It was hurting my back. Sitting all straight, it was hurting my back, so I started to slouch.
Yeah, stop slouching bad for your back.
But it was hurting when I was sitting up straight.
But anyways...
Yeah, so it's just differing expectations, and I think we put it in our feedback that from the event that, you know, that's kind of what we thought, and it would have been cool to say, like, oh, we're two fighters that we're looking to join a group, and then like the guild sort of organizes that bit.
that out, and then sends that group on a thing.
Yeah.
Rather than the only thing we got to do was the UG mission.
Yeah.
And it would have been nice to be able to go on like more than one. But we'll hold that for like another time, I guess, and we'll just move on because we're already at almost an hour.
Yeah. Well,
because we ramble and we need to talk about the fight for everything.
Yeah.
Which we've alluded to multiple times.
Yeah.
Now.
We gave our feedback, so and maybe it'll change. That was the last bit. So yeah, the fight for everything. Was it after that point?
We gathered in Valdraith because that seemed to be where the fight for everything was gonna happen, over near Valdraith.
Yeah, the word was spread via, you know, just people chatting, and they said the scholars here.
He's in Valdraith.
He's in Valdraith, or go to the big black flag, which. Portavas, they had one of their groups had like a giant piratey flag made, or trading company flag made, and so everyone mustered there, and then after a little bit we walked over to the Menhir.
We had a skirmish there.
Was there a skirmish before?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure.
No, I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. There was a skirmish at Haven, and then a time freeze.
Yes, yeah, and they said like
they started sending groups of us, so they were like, the 50 of you nearest to the Menhir, you guys go over there, and they started counting as we went like up the hill, and they sent everyone like in blocks of 50 group to go up the hill. Because basically, because we were fighting close to Menhir, it pulled us up into a different place to fight the Fallen for everything, you know, the Tome of Origin fragments. And so we went up, and we were given like well, when we came up there, the guy was like, is this two groups of 50 that have kind of merged? And we were like, no.
Probably.
No, it wasn't though. We were like, no, the next group's that one way down there, which also looked more than 50.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were given like a brief of like on the field. So there was one group that was up ahead of us, then our group, and then a couple groups behind. And they were like, up on the field, there's gonna be nice and windy again, so there's gonna be smoke, and once you go through the smoke, that is when your time in. So once you pass it, you are back in character, and yeah, basically go defeat the Fallen was what we were told to do. We in character, once we got up there, unfortunately they didn't really hold the other waves of people. So, like, the Fallen started coming out. We joined up with that first group. The next group kind of joined up with us as well before we even got to the point of the smoke being blown and for us to be able to go in it.
Yeah.
However, kind of on the player side, we messed up a bit. The smoke was there, and we had been told we have to go through it. We all just stood there and held a line.
Yeah.
We didn't really go through the smoke. The Fallen ended up having to run down to us, but their respawn point was all the way up in the woods. So eventually we did get closer and closer.
Yeah.
But like we didn't really push up like we were supposed to. But it was a really cool fight. We had some like good moments. When we were originally in the time freeze down at the Menhir, I saw the Erdreven that said I was a good Fallen, and I think he kind of recognized me because when I did the Fallen, I had tucked all my wig hair up into my helmet. So I don't know how obvious the wig was, but obviously my glasses and makeup and like were the same, but I had more kit on for the fight because I didn't wear my scale mail because that was very like much my character, and when you go for monstering you don't want to necessarily look exactly like your character.
Yeah.
But he heard me and he like turned and we kind of had this like look where he was just like almost like he wants to be like I recognize you, but then realized that he was recognizing me because I was the Fallen, so he couldn't say that.
Yeah.
But it was like kind of like I feel like it might have been like a shared moment where I was just like oh, I know that guy. He likes my acting. But yeah, so we went up there.
Yeah, and then we went through with the Portavas group. They were like on the right. Yeah, they were like on the right side. So we were speaking to a couple of them. They were really cool, actually.
Yeah, the flag, the big black flag, ended up being like where all the healers stayed. So it was like if you are injured or you have someone who's injured, go to the flag. However, we kept pushing up and the flag didn't come up as much, so I kept turning around from being in the fight and kind of counting and being like, okay, I'm at 7 hits and I only have 8, so instead of like wasting other people's resources, it's like my character is thinking, I'm gonna go get myself healed.
Yeah.
And so I would like, start going back and just being like, hey, I need some healing, and they're like, okay, are you dying? Are you on your death count? And I was like, no, I have like 1 hit point left. I just didn't want to waste anyone else's time and like, die. So I've come back here for healing. Thanks.
Yeah.
And I did a little bit of drawing as well when I was like kind of moseying around.
Well, there was one bit of the fight as well where I got crushed. Crushed because I was wearing heavy armor. Crush took me down to my critical state no matter what hit points I had on.
Yep.
I was fighting like one of the captains and then I managed to stun him and then like everyone like wailed on him and I could see like the disappointment in his face, like visibly sigh, and I thought this is what I wanted, this is why I took stun. Yeah. And then after that, after like we downed him, he regenerated and then he crushed me. Which I was just like, yeah, fair enough. And like one of these people like one of the healers ran over to me, and it was one of our nation support from Empire, and someone else, like one of the nation support for Menhirs or the refs, gave me a wounded card. So I had like a special thing that I never read actually.
I have it.
No, this was one after. I got given one, and then like the person was a healer. They came over and they were like read it and they were like, right, okay, and then they said, I've got a little bit of fake blood. Do you want it? It tastes a bit minty. And then I was like, sure, like why not? What's the worst that could happen? And so they put it in my mouth and they said just like feel free to cough that up whenever. And they were like, okay, I'm just opening up this hole. I was like, you're opening up a hole? Why are you opening it up? And they were like, oh, don't worry about it, it's just to make you better. And they said, okay, I'm going to open it up and then sew it back together. And I was like, okay. And then they sewed it and then they said, okay, I'm going to put the needle in 3, 2, 1, and then I like coughed out like some of the fake blood, and it went everywhere. I think I got it on my face.
Yeah, you did.
I got a little bit on my weapons as well, because I was lying there and it was like, and yeah, it was just like a really cool moment.
Yeah, and I think yeah, we kept kind of splitting off. So there was like one point where I found someone that we knew that was in the Krios nation, but we knew them from Empire, and I think you had run up at that point, like, and met up, but I kind of like fought by his side at one point, which was like really cool, because it was like Krios is like the nation that Saradonia like came from.
Yeah.
So, and also like at Empire, he's kind of like one of our gurus of like LARPing.
Yeah.
So it just felt really cool to like come to another LARP and still like be able to fight next to him.
Yeah.
And like see like a completely different like character side to him, which was like really fun. And
I think he got down, didn't he? And then we both of us rushed over to like protect him a little bit.
Yeah. But he got back up and kept fighting. And then there was another point in terms of like wounds, where people on the enemy side kept hitting me and saying rend, which only did 1 hit point because I had heavy armor on. So it didn't actually hurt me. I just thought it was really funny that they weren't crushing me. They just kept trying to rend me, and I was like, mate, I'm fine. Sorry.
Yeah.
And they were probably a bit disappointed. Although there was one that had run up and was like, hit me, rend, hit the next person, rend, and they just dropped, and I was just like, I can't play my healer character. I have 2 swords. Like, I found it really hard because I was just like, my character isn't a healer. Like, the most I could do is give you a hand, but it means I have to put one of my swords away. Or if I'm gonna carry you and like use both my hands to carry you, I have to put both my swords away.
Yeah.
So I kept having to walk away from injured people, which is like really hard, because like I'm used to like healing it. But at the same time, I was just like freed. I was like freed from healing. I was just like, I don't have to help them. I don't have to play that character. That's really cool. However, it is really nice for people who do play that character, because I got hit in the head with an arrow.
Yep.
From behind.
Yep.
From an Urdreven.
Yeah.
Who was trying to shoot past me without warning, and I was wearing my kettle helm, luckily, so I didn't feel it. It's also made out of foam, so it probably wouldn't have been that painful anyways if it actually hit me, but it just skirted my helmet, just like bonked in, and I was just like, we were kind of all stood there, because I think you were there when it happened, and we were kind of like, does that do anything? I'm in heavy armor, does that do anything?
So like, from what I remember reading of the rules were, arrows do rend, which doesn't do anything, as we just said, doesn't do anything if you have heavy armor. But then like one of the leaders of the game...
No, so it was like when we were there, we were like, does it do crush, does it do rend? And you're like, I'm pretty sure it's rend, I'm pretty sure it's just 1 hit point.
Yeah.
And then, while I was standing there and I had my swords like kind of crossed in front of me, an arrow from the other side hit my front. Like, it basically hit my swords. I wasn't trying to block it. It just happened, like, I was standing there and we're, like, trying to figure out what to do with the head wound.
Yeah.
And so I, like, ended up technically blocking with my swords, which you're not supposed to block with weapons, because it could ricochet and cause more damage to other people around you.
Or even yourself.
And that's when the game runner, Nick, ran up and he goes, it hits, it still counts. And I think he was talking about the one that hit my swords, not my head. And so I just dropped because I didn't know what to do. I was technically fine. I had hit points galore. I think I was probably at 4 at that point. Like, was plenty enough.
Yeah, I think he didn't see that you had full or like partial heavy.
No, well, I don't think he meant that it, like, he said it hit you, like it hit your sword, so it still counts. Like, I don't think he meant it in the way of like, oh, it's gonna cause you, it's rend, it causes you to go to 0. I don't think that's, because he didn't say that, but that's what we assumed. Yeah. So we were like, okay, a game runner has just told us that it counts, that because it hit my swords, it still counts as a hit. So I just dropped, went and got healed, brains were hanging out of my helmet, apparently, like...
Yeah. But the person that on our side that hit her with an arrow ran up to her, and I ran up to her as well. And we just like, okay, here's 2 arms, and then we got you, and we like ran out and took you to a healer.
Yeah, a healer. So I just sat down on the ground and was just like, I didn't count the one that technically hit me in the front. I was just like, oh, I got hit with an arrow behind, and they were like, it was an experienced LARPer with a new LARPer and a new healer. So they're like, this is kind of like my understudy, kind of like, he's learning, I hope that's okay. And I was like, okay? Like in character, I was like, oh god, they're gonna mess up. And then they started talking about my brains hanging like out of my head because it was an arrow hit to my head. Which I think headshots technically count as like a hit. You're not supposed to aim for the head. No harm was done to me, no foul, like I'm not angry at the Erdreven person. It just made it really
it was so
funny.
Was laughing about it.
We were just like, I was just like, okay, friendly fire is fire, so it counts as a hit, but I was like, am I dying from it? Like, we couldn't remember.
We thought it's better to say that you're dying from it than not. And yeah,
got some healing experience for a new LARPer, so that was kind of nice.
Yeah, I got a bandage on my leg earlier from when I got something.
Oh, it was on your arm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you said, do you want... He gave me this bloody bandage, and we tied it around my helmet so that it was, like, clear that something had happened to my head.
Yeah.
And I ran into my new friend from Orvalis through that fight. So good at roleplay. Like, I want to be that good someday. The way they play their character is just so wonderful, so on brief, and they were just like, oh, it's just like so close to death, it just makes me feel alive. And they were like so thrilled by fighting. I was like, yeah, this is great. I love you. You're amazing.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we kept having to kill these like captains in the Fallen multiple times.
There's several trolls that came out.
Oh, the trolls.
Yeah.
It's so hard to fight against the trolls.
I know, because you don't want to get staggered.
No.
But yeah, it is what it is. We ended up. Did we say about the small group that got taken away?
We
weren't part of it.
We weren't part of it. So there was a group that got pulled. I don't know if they might have been like one of the last groups, but I don't think they were. I think they were just on the side. Yeah. I think they just happened to be fighting on one side, and they got pulled into the wooded area, and they were told... Well, they weren't told anything.
No.
They were just told to go fight in there, and it gave the... So that was where the whole skirmish crew basically went. A small group of them came out and fought us, but we kind of had like a healing party happen.
Yeah.
But we could hear them up in the woods. And they weren't really told... from their perspective what to do, but apparently they were supposed to go and protect a menhir.
Yeah.
Like we had done the night before.
They were meant to capture the corrupted menhir.
Yeah, which is what we'd done the night before.
Oh, okay. I didn't know it was corrupted. I thought we were just retaking it. Anyway.
But they weren't told that, and so they didn't do that. They just stood at a line basically at the entrance and failed that like secret mission, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think from the people that we spoke to after, they said they started to explore a little bit, but like by the time they started to explore a little bit,
the Fallen pushed them back.
No, they just
back?
got told that was it, and then because it got to a point where we were fighting so much, the skirmish crew were having to respawn like on the field, and it was like 40 of them against like near enough the whole camp, other than the people who got pulled away.
Yeah, maybe
and, like we were pushing them out, or like killing them, getting up to the edge of like the bushes, and then having to come back so they could respawn.
Yeah, we were literally pushing them to their respawn point.
Yeah.
At one point during the fight, because we alluded to it before with the guild master, so I went back on like very low, like 1 hit point at one point, and so did you. You were really low.
Yeah.
And so we were like, we need an advanced physician, because there's physician and then there's advanced physician. Physician in Menhirs Fate can give you 1 hit point. It can take you from critical to 1 hit point and stabilize you. You needed an advanced physician to spend basically the same amount of time to get you back up to full. So I was walking around and was like, I need an advanced physician, because it kind of dawned on me earlier in the day, maybe the day before Saturday, where I think people weren't really understanding who they're being healed by. So they're being healed maybe potentially by just a physician.
Yeah.
And thinking they were going back in full. And so their characters probably should technically be dead. But
Well, I wouldn't say that,
but you know,
yeah,
that is how it is. If you only got 1 hit point back, then you go back out and got hit 7 more times. You should have technically been dead over multiple times.
Yeah.
So I started making sure to ask for a advanced physician to get me up to full. And so we were walking around and couldn't find anyone. And then the guild master, who came from the Adventurers Guild with the scholar, was like, all right, well, okay, no one else is really around. I haven't done this in a while, but I am an advanced physician, and you will be the first one to be healed by me, a guild master.
Yeah.
And I was like, so we keep getting all these, like, first of first, like, one of the first to do this, that, or whatever, which is really fun. Which is why we wanted to try, like, a brand new LARP.
Yeah.
To be some of the first people to do X, Y, and Z at a LARP. And have that kind of, like,
I think that's like an added
coolness.
bonus for me. Like, I wasn't too worried about it going in. I think I just wanted to connect with people also doing the game the first time. And then enchanting and stuff, and then doing that first as well. It's like the cherry on top.
Yeah, so he healed me. He was like, great, you're all good to go. And then Rowan just goes, me too. He was like, okay. He really didn't want to heal both of us. He really didn't want to.
I didn't want to
heal
spend
Rowan.
2 minutes healing both of us, and I don't blame him. A minute is a long time to be healing someone.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, he wasn't really fighting, so he had nothing better to do.
Yeah, true.
Except for to, like, you know, make sure that the gods didn't get erased from all existence, but whatever,
that's a small
minor detail.
That's second to healing us.
Yeah, so then we kind of won the battle, I think.
So we were just like fighting, they were just carrying on respawning, and then there was a big freeze, and
they're like, you're being pulled back to Haven.
Yeah.
And it was basically go back to as close as you can to where you were when you were first pulled through the Menhir. So we ended up, like, when we got back on the wrong side of the Menhir.
Yeah, I think so.
But it was just too crowded to get back to, like, the exact point, but we were close enough. Yeah, we basically picked up and we started walking back towards camp, but we were called over by our Decurion of War.
Yep.
Who said, all Ceridonians come over here.
Yeah. So we went over, and he said, I said for people to stay behind, and
none of you did.
And none of you did. Go and look what's happened. So we
And he said, well, he said all the threads are dead.
Yeah.
So we kind of ran over. Like, we jogged a bit. Like, we walked fast, and then once we got into camp, we ran up. I was like, no! And, like, one of our friends was, like, lying haphazardly, like, off their stool. It was they did so well with their positioning. I was just like, no, not our brand new friend. Like, our brand new friend dead on the ground. And then they just go, I'm not really dead, it's a joke. And I was like, okay, actually, like, no one else is here, so keep pretending to be dead. So then I went over to the threads on the ground, and I kind of said, like, oh no, they're all dead, how sad. Like, I was, like, trying to be, like, my character is really bad at acting. And they were like, haha, this is what you get. And I was like, no, keep playing dead. The rest, like, we ran over because we actually care about you guys. The rest of them are just slowly walking. They're not here yet. Please keep playing dead.
Yeah.
But they were already full in the, like, you guys need to protect and blah blah blah. But then I convinced one thread to like stay dead, and they're like, this is what happens. And then so everyone else finally joined up, and they were like, oh, but none of you are dead. And we're like, one is dead, what do you mean? And they're like, so you guys were just like lying around them for fun? Like, I think it was like one of the grumpy Saradonia characters that was talking at that point. And then the thread gave up and was like, no, I'm not actually dead, but you guys need to learn your lesson to like protect the nation, not all just, you know, go off. I think they got to see the goose and the duck while we were gone, and that was like the incursion they had. But
yeah, one of the grumpy people was like really annoyed, like, don't do that, that's messed up.
Yeah. But it was a good lesson.
It was, yeah.
But also, you know, big fun battle.
Yeah.
For everything.
Exactly. Everything.
For everything, you know.
What do we do after that? Do we go get some water and have a little bit to eat? So after that, we regained vigor, which we also done on the Saturday. Yeah. So, some of our new friends, from the Shattered Bridge Domus, they fable weaved a ukulele so that it allows, after active listening for 5 minutes, for you to regain vigor. Yeah, which is a really cool idea.
Yeah, and really helpful for multiple camp incursions and fights happening like throughout the day. So we sat listening to that. Well, at least I did, because I needed to regain my vigor. We had a bit of a chat with two of the people, to our new friends, about something they had mentioned about us maybe being a good fit with their domus, because, you know, we were single, ready to mingle. We were looking for new homes, but then we had to go to the bank
because we were gonna. There was talk of a raffle where if you put like money or something back into the bank, then you get entered in a raffle to win some money or whatever.
Yeah, to win like a myth, probably.
Yeah.
Maybe more than that, but you know.
So we were like, sure, why not?
Yeah, so we put in a little bit of our stuff.
Yeah, and then like our flicker as well. Yeah.
We talked and walked. No, we went to the bank, we deposited our stuff, and on the outside was where we met up with someone we kind of know from Empire, the Marchers. So it was two priests who were set up outside of the bank with a little gambling kind of game where you put your coin in and it goes down, and then it goes either to one side or the other. And so they were trying to fund a shrine to be built for the Traveler and the Smith. And I asked them, like, what do you need? Because unfortunately we had just come out of the bank depositing our funds, so we couldn't offer them money at that point. But he said, oh, we need like 20 legends and like 100 faith or 200 faith, like a lot of faith. And one of the things about faith is that it doesn't carry on from event to event. So if you don't give your faith to a priest and they don't use it, it kind of goes to waste. So then I asked for clarification, because I was like, 200 is a lot, especially if you need to get that all in like one event. And I was like, does the bank technically like hold on to the faith that you give? And they were like, yeah. So I said, well, I actually have some faith that I need to be giving, and to give it to a worthy cause sounds great. However, I would like you guys to duel.
Yeah.
And they were both exhausted and tired because it was towards the end of the day, and I let them decide, and so they did a best 2 out of 3 rock, paper, scissors, and the Smith won, which, you know, is kind of fitting for Saradonia. And my character is always like, you know, making things and whatnot, so yeah, unfortunately it wasn't the Traveler, which is where we're moving to, but yeah, at that point we went back to camp.
We're gonna speak with the new friends that we made, and because they said, oh yeah, if you come over and we'll speak to everyone, then we'll see what everyone thinks and whether, you know, we think you're a good fit, essentially.
Yeah, because we liked the vibe of their camp. We liked kind of like what their guild, not sorry, oh gosh, I keep saying it, what their domus is about.
Yeah.
And we liked the people. So yeah, we kind of like...
Although you did try and rob one of them, but that's...
Please don't bring it up. I'm hoping he forgets that.
Anyway, we went over to the domus and to speak with them all, and they gave us some... what would you call them? A belt flag.
Belt flag.
Yeah.
From which they all wear as part of their guild, and they were just
domus.
Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, they.
Oh,
they
you
all
think
wear it
one
as
of the
fun.
12 gods would help me? Like the scholar, come on, help me with my language because I can't speak today. Yeah, they all wear it as part of their domus because they don't really have set domus colors like some of the other domuses have, but they have like their insignia on like a little belt thing that the guy like just whipped up like fast. Like he was just like, yeah, I just wanted to try it, and it has like a little pocket in it. But the way they gave it to us was so cute, and like one of the threads walked by when it happened and also like saw it because they were like, oh, like making like ooh cute faces. But yeah, he kind of gave it to us and was like, yeah, actually we had a chat with everyone already, and we wanted to present you guys with these so that way you can always find your way home. And like in character, out of character, I was like ready to cry. I was like, oh my gosh, like that's so cute, like it's so nice. Like to like be like, I don't know, welcomed into like the fold, like just because like we happened to have like a random conversation in the Bankers Guild on like the one day.
Yeah, it makes me think that's what we need to do in Empire as well. It's just like go up to speak to people,
Yeah, but that's where the courage part comes in, from costumes and courage.
Right, I'm out. I'm heading out.
No. So they gave us a bit of costume because we had the courage to talk to them.
Yep, if you say so.
No, but it was a really cute moment, and then
I'm very grateful to them because it was such a nice gesture, honestly.
Yeah, and I think
very moving.
Yeah, they also play at Empire, so I think we'll try to like run into them at Empire, even though we play very different nations. But it's kind of cool because it will also lead to hopefully more adventures at other LARPs.
Yeah.
By meeting people. I think that's one of the cool things about Menhirs Fate coming from another big fest LARP, is we know and we recognize a bunch of people from the Marcher camp. We don't really know that many other people from the other nations.
Yeah.
We know some, but not that many. However, you know, gearing up for Menhirs, we saw our friends go to all these different nations at Menhir. From Empire, we're all together, and then now they've all spread out. But it also is the same for other nations. They also spread out to like whatever interests they had.
Yeah.
So now we're friends with these people who play like Wintermark or Urizen, you know, like completely different ones at Empire, but potentially it can lead to more game there as well.
Yeah, hopefully.
Which is cool. Which is the nice part about making friends.
Yeah, it was nice to role play with them, so
yeah.
I look forward to doing it again.
Yeah. After that, nothing really happened. We had a little end of Menhir Fate talk with the threads, who were just kind of like, thank you guys all for like coming and fighting, and you know, we'll come back again. And then someone was like, anyone know what the time is? And I pulled my timepiece out. I was like, it's 3 p.m. And we're all like, all right, time to pack up.
Yep, time to pack up. See you later.
See you later.
Good chat, everyone.
Yeah, so we kind of just took down camp and packed everything away. We took our time. We didn't feel rushed.
No.
It was a really nice weekend in terms of weather. So it wasn't at all like other times where we've had to pack down in the rain and you're like rushing to get out because you're like, I don't want to stand in the rain any longer.
The other thing is like with Menhirs compared to like Empire, with Empire it gets to like 3 o'clock and like there's loads of cars trying to get on the field, whereas at Menhirs,
not really,
because there was like such a big
field,
like there wasn't
all the cars were able to like spread out.
Yeah, there was no one jostling for spaces near their tent and stuff, which was really nice. But that was it.
Yeah, we went home and had delivery for dinner.
Yeah, probably shouldn't have because it cost a lot of money. And we spent loads of money.
Just add it to the weekend. And we took the Monday off after, which that week after, we realized maybe we should have also taken Tuesday.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
No. We were so tired. But I think like I spoke to you on Tuesday and I was just like, I'm so exhausted I could fall asleep, and you messaged back, I am falling asleep, like my eyes won't stay open.
Yeah, I was sat at a desk in like a room with my line manager going through something, and like I was like this, like literally my eyes were like falling asleep, and she was saying like, oh, click this, and I'd like open them like this, and then she'd be like this, and then I'd click it, and then I'd like go back to being half asleep until she said something else to me.
But yeah, that's just how I think like full of activities it was.
Yeah, which was really good.
Yeah, so I don't know for our next episode what
maybe we'll do
chat about, but
yeah, I was wondering if we do like outfits or something. I don't know.
Yeah, go into the costume side, or if you have gotten this far and have a suggestion of like what you'd want to hear about, because it's gonna be a while till we LARP again.
Yeah,
because I think this will be,
I think it'll be like the 6th of June.
Yeah.
Maybe the week after or something.
About what do you mean the 6th of June?
Is that when the Empire E2 is?
I don't know.
Or is it the week after the 13th or whatever?
Maybe. I'd have to look. But
yeah.
But yeah, so we have like about a month, but there's time in that for another episode because we're doing bi-weekly, so every fortnight an episode, so maybe we'll go over Empire, although there's quite a few lovely LARP podcasts that do like current events in the Empire and or Empire how-tos and yada yadas and stuff like that. So it kind of depends. There's some things I feel like we don't really need to cover because it's already been covered, but we can kind of maybe go back into talking about our characters in Empire, and it'll help us gear up and get ready for E2. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I am too.
But yeah, anyways, thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
We're sorry we rambled once again.
Maybe just a little bit. But I hope you have a lovely rest of your night.
Or day.
Yeah, that too. Anything. Have a lovely time. Thank you. Bye.
Oh,